on your street.
I live in Cincinnati, so I don't have
Oh, you live in Kennedy Heights.
well, come to where I work.
Who is like within your immediate area? Wherever you just really, really close to you. Is there anybody that you can do what David's office says? Hello, how are you? I mean, is there anybody there like this?
And you're right, of course it can happen, but I talk to the residents a lot because I'm in a computer. Right. It's a very apathetic community. It's a very apathetic community. You know,
but wait a minute, I'm going to stop you because, you know, I'm obviously trying to say there's some gifts and assets there, but you always...
We got a resident council process, so we're getting good people to come out. I mean, it would be great to have an outside community to say, hey, come on, help us. Let's have some conversations and dialogue, some different events, whatever they may be, because you or the people that you know want to come over and do something. What has been,
Yes.
one of the things that's been happening in our area like is this regentrification. People come in and move people that's problematic to the side, and people are making the community look good physically by altering physical surfaces.
I think what Isabel is trying to say is that when we're discussing your show, you keep saying that we have all these bad things in it, and you might have people that are participating in bad things like drug dealers or whatever, but there has to be something good that those people are good at. Like if they're drug dealers, or they must be good at, you know, like searching out things, or they must be good at, you know, business deals or something like that. So like, yeah, it might look bad from one perspective, but there has to be like something good. So I think she wants you to, I think she wants all of us to be able to walk out and anywhere we go and be able to look at someone, say hello, and instead of saying, oh, you're like some negative thing, like, oh, you're doing this, which means, you know, let's put a positive spin on it.
And that's, I got you, that's pretty much what we are doing. I don't mean to sound
Right.
Yeah, basically what she's saying is know who your neighbor is. You ain't in their business, just know who your neighbor is. If you see someone come to that door, you just, what you doing here, because you know your neighbor is at work at that time and you're not in your neighbor's business. You just knowing that that person don't supposed to be at that door because you know your neighbor is at work. And then when your neighbor come home, you tell them such and such was at your house, so you can say, well, they was looking at the roof or whatever. It's not that you was in your neighbor's business. So that's what I get out of what she was
Touch
saying.
on three things. One, we're at 7:30, so just keep that in mind. Two, I'm reminded of the parable, I think it's a parable, of a boy walking down the ocean, and he's throwing seashells or starfish into the ocean. There's hundreds of thousands of them. There's all the beach is lined with starfish, right? He's picking them up, throwing them in one by one. Some guy comes up to him and is like, man, what the heck are you doing? It's like, you're not gonna save all the starfish. There's millions of them. You're not gonna save the world for these starfish. And he responds, just save it for him. Just save it for him. And so we all, like, whatever, to be preachy for a second, like we live in a broken world. We live with a lot of problems. We're really individuals and we can only do so much. But we can make a difference in the interactions that we have. In all levels. So I think we start where we are. You know, one of the things that's been sort of plaguing me in the thoughts of all of this is, man, like this could be a massive undertaking. But I think if in one respect we start where we are, use what we have, we do what we can do, that's going to make a big difference. That's my second thing. My third thing is and this is sort of in the thing of time, I'm in the mode with school and everything of thinking in deliverables. Okay, so when I have an assignment due, and I have to go through this process, this work of project and doing of stuff, I need to know, okay, at the end of the day, what do I have to turn in? Okay. So we're talking about a lot of things. What I was pulling from what Caitlin was reading again was we have some very fundamental ideas, some very core ideas of interactions and not personalities, but just relationship type stuff. But then we also have this idea around prototypes or like programs or these mechanisms that we were discussing at Portugal. So what I want to at least touch on briefly is, are we wanting to focus on developing these sort of relationship ideas that are rooted in looking at the giftedness and these things? I think that's a very good thing. But also on top of that, to what extent at this point do we need to be looking at how are we evaluating these mechanisms, evaluating these programs, evaluating any of this prototype idea that we've talked about, or are we putting that on the back burner for later time? I mean, we can do that. We can start looking at trying to develop these strategies now, or we can move it to a later point. But I think it's important for us to sort of have an idea of, okay, are we looking to produce something at this point, or are we looking at influencing the neighborhoods and the places where we are right now with just the wave of ideas? Am I making sense there?
Yes, yes. I think you're, thank you for that, because, and I want to just come back to you and say, you know, we're challenging, but at the same time, I can imagine what's going on in your gut and your heart. Like, I mean, we're talking about filling out this damn form, and I've got a neighborhood out there where they're killing each other and doing things. I mean, so you're absolutely right. It relates to I personally am not in favor of just doing the relationship thing. I think we ought to do that. I think that's very important to your suggestions and you know, keep saying hello to the next person and so on. But I think we could also explore, I don't know if prototype is, but some kind of project. You know, that's dealing with more significant things, as you're reminding us. And I'm not saying what that ought to be, but maybe we ought to think about that at our next meeting. That would be my own personal preference to do both.
What I wanted to say is, you know, I like the idea of having a mission statement and working toward the mission. Otherwise, we're just kind of throwing out ideas and talking and spinning our wheels and never getting anywhere, never doing anything. I'd like to see us refine the mission statement and start working on ideas of how we're going to go about bringing that to pass.